Sometimes if it's really grim, we, just for the amusement of it, let them open up the can of worms, which is usually something along the line of, did you know that they use twice as much toilet paper in the Hillsborough County Tax Assessor's Office than they do in the Pinellas County Tax Assessor's Office? How do you feel about that, Lassiter? That is a can of worms, or a can of toilet paper, as the case may be. So I thought this afternoon, since I had both of my shows snatched out from underneath me today, I would allow you to open up a can of worms. Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. You've heard it correctly. You were actually being solicited to open up a can of worms. All those times when you called up and said, Lassiter, can I open up a can of worms on your show? And the next thing you know, you heard a dial tone. Well, today, my friend, you may open up a can of worms. Anything that you think is important enough but no one else has bothered to mention. In other words, a classic can of worms. You may bring up today. Allow me to give you the can of worm numbers. Why are you shaking your head no on there? You have so little faith. When I mentioned this to you 15 minutes ago, Stereo, you said, oh, boy, it's a really great idea, Lassiter. Oh, wow, it's really dynamite idea. Now you're sitting there shaking your head no. In any event, the can of worms lines are 461-9352 in Pinellas. That's 461-9352. The Nortner already starts to twinkle. In Hillsborough, 990-9352, 990-WFLA. And, of course, on a side note, for any of you who live in Pinellas County and despise me, you may call in and register your complaint at 1-223-9797, 1-223-9797. That is, of course, the Pinellas Hate Lassiter line. We shall we'll go to Richard in Sarasota to start off the can of worms. Richard in Sarasota, what kind of worms did you want to spread out on the desk here today?
Well, Bob, I don't know if this is worms or not, but the preceding program there, someone made the remark about what was going on in the country as far as the drugs and why the police couldn't do anything.
Whoa, that sounds like a can of worms.
Okay. I'm an ex-police officer, worked 6 years U.S. Route 1 north of out of Washington, D.C., I didn't retire as a police officer. I also have one of my better friends worked in Montgomery County, right outside of Washington, D.C., 12 years, another one 8 years. Anyway, a bunch of us were police officers.
No, sir, this is the
we used to think it was for real back in those days.
Sir, this is the can of worms show, not the story of your life.
All right,
show.
well, I want to I want to qualify as to what I say for the worms. I want to qualify myself.
Okay.
When I had occasion to go back to that area as recently as the last 30 days, I talked with some police officers in the Washington, D.C. area regarding the drugs. You have now, police officers have tenure on these departments, and because they say it's a rat race and the rats have won. They're talking 12, 14, 15 years, youngsters in school of their own, 15.
Yeah, we know all of this. We all read the newspaper. What's your point?
Well, the point of it is they're not going to be stopping any of these cars to find these people that's driving up and down the street. It's malaise. It's totally built in. They're not going to get shot down because when they take them to court, they take away bicycle riding and eating watermelons, for a week.
Oh, really? They take away bicycle riding and eating watermelons for a week?
Yeah. Yeah, they slap them on the wrist. In other words, nothing's done.
Hey, punk, get off my phone. You racist pig, get off my phone. Thank God you're out of the police force. Thank God you're out of the police force. You're nothing but a racist pig. And what a tragedy is that you've chosen the state of Florida to retire in. But I'll tell you this much. I'm sure the good folks up where you come from are delighted to have you the hell out of their hair. Just a racist pig. Take away bicycle ride and eating watermelons for a week, huh, pig? Thank God you don't carry a gun or a badge anymore. You're a disgrace to the uniform that you wore. You're a disgrace to the country. Town and Country, you're on the air at 970 WFLA. I guess Town and Country didn't want to play along. Well, let's see what kind of worms they have out there in Sarasota. Hi there, Sarasota. You're on the air at 970 WFLA. Hi.
Robert.
Yeah.
That guy was a jerk, wasn't he? Anyways, my can of worms, which this is a can of worms because his was a controversy that's been brought up before. But
well, I would suppose coming from Sarasota, you're going to open up a can of worm pate?
Right, sure.
Okay.
Let's do it. Why does WFLA not have a toll-free number for us people that don't live in the toll-free area?
Well, what would you like? An answer that will kind of placate you and send you away scratching your head, or the truth?
Well, I'd like to know the truth, and why can't it be done?
It's too expensive and it's not worth it.
Well, other stations do it.
No, sir. Other stations give you the illusion that they're doing it. if you're talking about TKN and PLP.
No, I don't listen to those stations. There are toll-free numbers for some of the music stations.
Well, again, they're giving you an illusion. It's an incredibly expensive.
If it's 1-800, it's free.
No, sir. It's only free if you pick it up, or if you let it ring. Depending upon the kind of service that you have. But if you'd like to hear a little story, WPLP decided they would put in an 800 number to give the illusion to their audience that they were paying for the long-distance calls. They also put out an order to the board operators, don't you answer that sucker unless there are no other calls. No.
You're kidding.
Well, here's the great part about it, sir. There are two different kinds of 800 lines that you can get. One that starts charging after the first couple of rings, and one that starts charging after you answer it.
Uh-huh.
Well, the cheapest one is, for some strange reason, the one that starts charging after the first couple of rings. The person put in charge of ordering the 800 line got that one. They started getting these incredible phone bills, like $1,400 a month for the 800 line.
Uh-huh.
And they were going insane over there. The management was going insane, saying, we told you not to answer those 800 lines. And the board operators were saying, well, we didn't answer them. The management would shake a piece of paper in front of them and say, hey, here's like a 92-minute call from Sarasota.
Well,
what it was, the person from Sarasota let the phone ring for 92 minutes, and they got charged for it.
There's no way then you can go with the other way. I mean, where it's not, they don't start charging.
Well, here's the hard, cold reality of it, okay?
Uh-huh.
People downstairs will not appreciate me telling you this, but first of all, Sarasota does not show up in the ratings book, and secondly, we don't sell in Sarasota.
Well, I've heard in the last 6 months that I've been listening, quite a few more people from the first, beginning of the 6 months that I've been listening, more people have been calling from Sarasota.
We get quite a number of calls from Sarasota, but they don't count.
Well, they should. I mean, shouldn't you start selling? Shouldn't you start expanding?
What do you mean? It's a matter of, the book, the Arbitron ratings do not cover Sarasota.
Why don't they cover Sarasota?
Because they
if
don't.
There's a market there, shouldn't...
Well, there's a market in New York, too, sir, but, we don't cover New York. In theory, our signals should not be reaching
New York
Sarasota.
either, Bob. Come on, now, be serious.
In theory, we shouldn't reach Sarasota.
But you do.
But in theory, we shouldn't, so Arbitron doesn't...
Well, in what theory? I don't understand
Sir, most of the stations in the Tampa metro area do not reach with a strong enough signal Sarasota. Just because a couple do. Sorry, Sarasota and Bradenton is a market in and of itself. And they have their own Arbitron ratings. They have their own stations, most of which...
They don't have any talk, though.
So what? So, maybe Indianapolis doesn't have any talk.
But we subscribe to your commercials and why
Sir,
shouldn't we be included?
I doubt very much that many people jump in the car in Sarasota and drive to Pasco County or drive to northern Hillsborough, to go shopping at a 7-Eleven. Come on.
Well, you have broader commercials than that.
Well, sir, I just gave you the reality of life. You want to argue with me about it, or do you want to accept the truth and go on in your happy way?
I'll accept the truth, but I just have that's my can of worms. I just want to know.
That's the story.
Okay.
And anybody that pretends to have an 800 line really don't. They're just trying to give you an illusion. Try calling it and see how often they answer.
Okay.
Okay?
I won't, but I'll say okay, just to end the conversation on a good note.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, excuse me, I was opening up a can of worms. Yes, that's right, 22 minutes after the hour of 3 o'clock. It is a Monday. What else could it possibly be? March the 20th, 1989. We have decided to allow people to open up cans of worms today, since they always try to on other occasions. Temple Terrace. Hi there, Temple. You're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Bob, first-time caller here.
Great.
Couple questions first. I'd like to know, would it be possible if we could get a tape of the Dick Norman?
No, it would not.
The Bundy?
No, it would not.
I
tapes
think
are not available.
That was absolutely fabulous. Another thing is, I'm trying to figure out. I was listening to a little bit of Liz's show last night when she was talking about the cocaine
I do not speak for Liz Richards. I didn't hear her program. I have no idea what you're talking about.
I'm talking about as far as the victims. This man called and had been robbed.
I didn't hear the show. I cannot comment on anything that went on.
Well, what I'm saying is, I'm saying
is I didn't hear the show and therefore cannot comment on anything that went on.
I'm not speaking of that specifically. What I'm speaking of is the people out here that are victims of this cocaine or this crime effort that's really going on. I think it's really getting out of hand. I mean, if people's lives have been ruined and don't have anything to do with the problem.
You thought at one time the cocaine and the victims thereof were in hand?
Huh?
Nothing. Go on.
I didn't hear you.
That's okay. Go on.
What I'm saying is that, is there any kind of statistics going on about this kind of crime, or is this my imagination? Because I've been hearing horror stories about these drugs going on, people being robbed. I mean, it's just really getting ridiculous, I think. I don't know whether legalizing it would be the answer or what, but it's just getting out of hand.
Why would legalization be the answer?
I really don't think that would be the answer either. Oh, Bob, that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Okay. Whoa, talk about a can of worms. Why don't you get a piece of paper at home and draw a line right down the middle of it, and on one side of the line open real can of worms, on the other side of the line, just like Michael is doing right now, on the other side of the line, right, not really a can of worms. And keep score as we go along this afternoon. Let's see here, 990-9352 in Hillsborough, 461. I think it'll make the show much more. 990-9352 in Hillsborough, 461-9352 in Pinellas. Hi there, Tampa. You're on the air at 970 WFLA in the Can of Worms Fest.
Bob, Can of Worms here. How to keep non-U.S. products out of the U.S. Don't allow U.S. marketing companies to sponsor them. If the Japanese, for example, had to market their own products in the U.S., they wouldn't know how to do it.
Sir, the Japanese will be able to figure out just about everything else. Why don't you think they'd be able to master marketing as well?
Well, perhaps they might master it, but at least it might slow them up a little bit. I mean, here we are going after the people with the same things that's selling Pepsi, okay, which is another story altogether, but the same things that are selling Pepsi, selling Toyotas. And they're doing a damn good job at it. Mm-hmm. And that's why the people go out and buy the Toyotas. Now, say Oldsmobile or GM or whatever were the only people that could go through American marketing companies.
You would be implying, of course, that Pepsi is is less than an all-American product.
Well, that's my point. I didn't want to bring that one up, and it was a bad example. Perhaps I should probably just
there is a can of worms. Why is it that you think that Pepsi is less than an all-American product?
Oh, you want to talk about that one?
Well, you're the one that brought it up.
Well, Pepsi and Coca-Cola and a lot of products, I mean, Lord knows that they have a lot of labor overseas.
Pepsi has a lot of labor overseas?
Well, and Coca-Cola.
And Coca-Cola, too?
Yes.
How is that?
Well, just how they have the plants overseas, and there's some in South Africa and things like that. I mean, you could talk about Shell Oil and
are you aware of the fact that Coca-Cola is basically a franchise? And that the Coca-Cola that you drink, for example, actually I have a can right here in my hot little hand. The Coca-Cola that you drink in the Tampa Bay area
comes from Tampa. There's a Tampa bottling plant.
Well, actually, let's see here. It says canned under the authority of the Coca-Cola Company, Atlanta, Georgia, by Florida Coca-Cola Bottling Company, Daytona Beach.
Well, Bob, let's.
So you see all the, and in the South Florida area, it's Coca-Cola of Miami. And then I believe there's Coca-Cola of Jacksonville. So if there is a Coca-Cola bottling company in France, it's selling in France, not in Indiana.
But Bob, don't they allow so that they're importing some things? Let's get to the pure topic. The pure topic is overseas products, strictly overseas products versus strictly U.S. products. And cars, I think, might be a good example. Would you agree?
Well, a far better example than Pepsi.
Okay, agreed. And that's why I didn't mean to go off. It was a poor example. But if we just took, for instance, say the Toyota manufacturers, the pure Toyota manufacturers, had to market their own products here, yes, they'd probably catch on to it and do a good job eventually. But as it stands now, if we only allowed GM products or the home, the Chrysler products to go through American marketing firms, I think we'd have a better shot of enticing the people to buy American cars.
Well, how about, if instead of that we allowed American automobile manufacturers to run counter Japanese manufacturing ads? I don't know, perhaps great pictures of, stacks of dead bodies or something.
Bob, then you'd have American car makers being George Bush. That's what Bush did. Yeah, it might get you elected, but I don't agree with that theory. I would rather go pro my product as opposed to negative the other product.
Well, I don't understand how you're...
Well, you're saying do not necessarily negative ads. Well, yeah, negative ads against the Japanese products. But why don't we
what the hell? We do it against Americans. Why can't we do it against the Japanese?
Well, we could. I'm not saying we couldn't. But I'd rather just say, okay, here's my product, and it's damn good. And then you go and try and sell your product, because I know how to sell mine. Let's see, we got these, like BDBO and the Wyatt Corporation, and the big marketing firms are marketing Toyota, and they're marketing Nissan, and doing a damn good job at it, because who knows better to get the American public?
Well, I would certainly think you'd have a very serious First Amendment problem there.
How so?
Well, telling American companies who they could speak for and who they couldn't speak for.
Oh, I'm not going to tell anybody to do anything. All I can do is suggest. And I'm not telling the American companies to do anything. I'm just suggesting. It might take a couple dollars out of their pocket, but if you build the revenue into, say, a GM, okay, then the people that are sponsoring GM, it'll be a broader market.
Could you possibly explain those last two sentences for me? Okay. I did somewhat lose touch here.
For example, BDBO, for example, is marketing Toyota products, and they're also marketing GM products. If they stopped marketing Toyota products and pushed GM products, then they would probably sell more GM products, less Toyota products, therefore getting the same market share for them. So it would be in their interest. They wouldn't be losing the revenue from Toyota. They would be getting a larger revenue base from GM.
But Finchocker and Meyerson will pick up the Toyota account.
Well, that's the point, is hopefully maybe they wouldn't either. If they realize...
Hopefully maybe they wouldn't. There's the account laying right there on the table. I mean, Finchocker and Meyerson just lost the... Mr. Salty Pretzel account. They're in deep doo-doo.
I understand, Bob, and I'm not saying that it's going to
pick up the Toyota account. And even though they have a silly name, Finchocker and Meyerson are damn good ad agency.
Yeah, I understand, and yes, that's a possibility. Is that the account's going to be laying there?
Probability.
Yes. Okay, I agree with you. A probability in
so in other words, your plan is unworkable.
Excuse me?
Your plan is unworkable. Here we've opened up the can and it's empty.
Well, I don't think it's totally unworkable.
Worms on the label.
I think that it's a start and a suggestion for a start. But you've brought up, you've played the antagonist role, and there probably be people on your side. But if we could show them the benefits in the long run, but people don't want to hear about the long run. So who am I kidding?
Well, okay.
That's the problem. People don't want to hear about the long run because it's painful today. But if we suggest these things, who knows? You can only suggest, Bob. You can't twist people's arms.
Sure you can. But I thank you very much in any event. Take care there. Off we go to USFI. You're on the air at 970 WFLA. Put your can on the table there.
Oh, good afternoon, Bob. How are you today?
I am fine, thank you.
Well, good. I've got several
Well, the truth of the matter is I'm not really that fine. My shoulder still hurts.
Well, what happened?
Don't know why. It's been a couple of weeks now. To tell you the truth, I think it's probably arthritis.
Oh, you're a little too young for that,
aren't you? Definitely 43 years old. Come on, I went to grammar school with a girl that had arthritis.
Yeah, well, I understand. A friend of mine came out with diabetic.
It's not clearly, it's clearly not muscular. It's right there in the joints.
Well,
what else could it be?
I've got several cans of worms, but I'm limited time, and you're limited time, I suspect.
I wasn't finished.
Oh.
On top of that, I'm really getting a little bit ticked off with where I parked my car, because right underneath, my car is about 6 inches longer than my damned carport. And there's this humongous live oak tree out there. I get my car washed every Saturday at Grand Prix. I get the Supreme or the Super. Super was on special this week. By the way, if you got a Super last week, you got a certificate for a 1995 full-service wash and wax job. But nonetheless, every morning I come out, every Monday morning I come out, and there's the back of my car all gunked up from the crap that falls out of the damn live oak tree. And what's even worse, I was out Friday night with some friends. They were teasing me because I made a cheesecake and didn't give them any of it. So I made another cheesecake this weekend. It was the best cheesecake ever. Oh, Michael, you wouldn't have believed it. I mean, it was super, super good. Made the cheesecake. And, of course, when you make a New York-style cheesecake, as probably everybody knows, you have to let it cool in the oven. So I let it cool in the oven, and then you have to let it sit for at least 6 hours in the refrigerator. Well, 2 hours into it, I got the damned munchies. And so I said, well, I could take this little sliver out of the cake, and damn that the thing didn't just kind of collapse right into the middle. I mean, it tasted great. It just looked like hell. Now I got to make another cheesecake because this one looks so damn bad I can't take it away. Over to my friend's house.
Oh, I'm a patient caller. Go on, Bob.
What do you mean you're a patient caller? You're the one that brought it up.
Excuse me?
You're the one that brought it up. You mean you didn't really want to know how I am and what's going on in my life?
I didn't say that. You inferred that.
Now you're bitching about the fact I'm telling you what's going on.
You know, calm down, Bob. Everything's fine.
What the hell did you call for if you didn't want to find out?
We have physicians in the world that can take care of your ailing shoulder.
I don't want to go to the doctor. I'm afraid to go to the doctor.
Oh, there's the truth, people. Bob's afraid.
Exactly. Suppose I find out I really do have arthritis.
Callers call up and say you're a physician, and he'll go, ooh.
What is it that you wanted?
Okay, Bob. Just
screen these a lot better, Mike.
I got to do is now just point out to you that that can of worms that was opened earlier, I'm still looking at it, and
which one?
Well, you had a Sarasota call that you hung up on, rather, and the second one said, well, we should have a toll-free line.
Wait, I don't remember hanging. Oh, that one.
That guy.
Oh, yeah, I did hang up on him, right. Yeah, the cop.
Okay, then the third one, I'm forgetting where he came from. Well, I was on the interstate, and I pulled off and said, well, I, too, am from Sarasota, but I do a lot of traveling. But this is a problem that I think your advertisers are neglecting, that the can of worms may be put on WFLA. You see that you have large corporations that have satellite offices all throughout Florida. And since you said you're simply getting marketing for the Tampa Bay area, and it doesn't include Sarasota, your fees are based upon that.
There is no way to prove to an advertiser, because there are no ratings available.
Right.
There's no way to prove to an advertiser that there's a significant audience in Sarasota.
Right, but then your fees are based upon the Tampa Bay area or the survey done, right?
Right.
Well, then they're getting free advertisement in Sarasota.
Well, you know, a lot of good it does most of the people who advertise on the station, because people from Sarasota either are not going to get into a car and drive for an hour and a half to get someplace up here, or the services are available locally in Sarasota anyway.
Bob?
Yeah?
The Bucks.
What about them?
That's an example.
What's an example?
If they advertised?
I don't think the Bucks advertise on this station.
Well, if they did, now let's assume then you said, well, there's a toll-free line in Sarasota, and the Bucks say, hey,
what the hell are they going to advertise? Hey, go on out, watch Vinny throw to the other guy.
Well, see, that's just one example. That yes, they would every Saturday. I mean, we do have suckers in Sarasota also. So
they play on Sunday.
Well, then you could advertise it on Friday. You're a Friday free-for-all.
But sir, they don't advertise with us, to the best of my knowledge.
Well, I won't...
I'm not aware of any NFL team that advertises. I'm not aware of any NFL team that has to advertise.
You're not aware of any NFL team that advertises?
Not to the best of my knowledge.
Well, you're talking about on radio or any time?
At any time.
Well, billboards, for example. I've seen a lot of the Bucks billboards around. That's one form of advertisement, but pity poo, right?
Well, I've never seen them, to tell you the truth, but I'll take your word for it.
I know. And I love you for it, too,
all I do is just go back and forth from here to my house, and there are damn few billboards of any kind between my house and here.
Well, just a thought that...
on top of that, I have blinders on, so it would be difficult.
We down in Sarasota are a polite folk, and we hope to contribute to your audience without being charged for it.
Well, you're not being charged for it.
I am not currently, no.
No one's being charged for it.
Certainly. If we push 1-221-9352, we will be charged.
Details.
Pleasure speaking with you, Bob.
Well, thank you.
And have a good day.
By the way, most of those billboards, if indeed not all of them, are Q105 billboards.
Oh, you said that ugly word. I wish you hadn't have said that.
What do you mean? That's the station where my good buddy Cleveland Wheeler works.
My wife listens to that nonsense, and I forgot about it during the weekend, and you brought it up again.
Sir!
Yes.
Yes! Sir! So that's the station where my good buddy Cleveland Wheeler works.
You said that word, too.
I'm one of the finest broadcasters, sir, in the nation.
Sarasota does not listen to him.
And a Lincoln owner.
If anything, we would listen to the Waves.
Fortunately, I sold my Lincoln and bought a Rolls Royce, but...
Thank you very much, Bob.
Take care.
You too.
I have no idea why that man called. None whatsoever, but I really enjoyed talking with him. 990-9342. Yes, that's right. 990-9342. That would be in Hillsborough County. In Pinellas County, 461-9352. 461-9352. I don't know either, Michael. He just opened a can of worms, that's all.
I'm just trying to figure out where my check mark should go. Would that be a real can of worms or not really a can of worms?
Well, maybe you want to start a third column there. I don't know can of worms.
I'll see you there tonight.
Oh, that web, I tell you. My goodness, the board is just full with people who want to open up a can of worms, so there's utterly no sense in keeping those people waiting. Lakeland. Hi, Lake. You're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Mr. Lassiter.
What kind of can of worms do you bring to us there?
Well, I wonder if I could open up your can of worms.
Open up my can of worms. What's that, sir?
You have an interesting show, and this is one of the most interesting you've ever had. But would you agree or disagree that you have your own can of worms, kind of like skeletons?
I think everybody does, sir.
Yeah, we sure do. A while ago, you were talking to, I think it was an ex-police officer, and you said something about, my God, I'm glad you still don't wear a badge.
That's right, sir.
Okay. I would like to open up, pardon me?
Let's just get right to the point, sir.
Okay. I would like to know where you got the phrase, my God, I'm glad you don't still wear a badge.
Uh-oh, here's somebody from Lakeland who thinks he's going to catch me. Sir, it's a figure of speech.
No, I'm not trying to catch you.
It's a figure of speech, sir.
I would just like to hear your opinion.
It's a figure of speech for the third time.
Oh, I didn't hear the first and second.
That's because you were rudely talking while I was trying to answer.
No, I didn't hear you say, my God, the first and second time.
Anything else, sir?
Yes. Second question.
By the way, even Mikhail Gorbachev, sir, uses the phrase...
Pardon me?
Even Mikhail Gorbachev, sir, uses the phrase, my God.
Well, yes, he believes in God.
No, he doesn't, sir.
Yes, he does.
No, sir, he's an atheist.
No, he's not.
Sir, do you know who Mikhail Gorbachev is?
Yeah, I believe he lives in Russia somewhere.
That's right, and he's an atheist, sir.
Okay, well, that's your opinion.
Figure of speech.
Okay, well, some people believe in a superior being, whether it's God or any other being.
Any other cans of worms that you had, sir?
Okay, the other one is very simply, you're being very complacent today, and normally you're very antagonistic. And I would like to know, or I would like to know if any other callers would like to call and ask you, what determines your attitude when you come on your show, whether you're going to be antagonistic or complacent?
Depends on how many
be a nice guy,
sir.
Is it?
Sir, it depends on how many morons from Lakeland call. 990-9352 in Hillsborough, 461-9352. That opens up a line in Lakeland at 1-223-9797. Off we go now to Bel Air. Bell, you're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Good afternoon, Robert.
Good afternoon, Bell.
You want the big can or the little can first?
I don't care.
Well, the little can is, I'm left over from this morning, definitely against burning the flag for environmental reasons. It'll cause air pollution.
Okay, that seems reasonable to me.
Now for the big can of worms. For all the people that say that life begins at conception, all the right-to-lifers, let me set up a very small scenario set in the future when all of our laws and everything is set to the fact that life begins at conception. Come with me, if you will. August. I find out the wife's pregnant. She'll be due the following April 20th. First thing I do, go out and apply for a Social Security number and gift the fetus $20,000. Buy stock, pays a dividend that will earn from September to December $500 worth of income. October 1st, find out that it's twins. Get a second Social Security number. Go out and gift another $20,000, invest that so it will catch up, and they'll both end up with $500 of portfolio income. By December, the wife's in the second trimester of her pregnancy. She looks like a 9-month mom. So she gets a job modeling maternity clothes, and since the show is the tummy, the modeling fee was paid to the twins. They were paid, it was a 5-hour gig. They're paid $100 an hour, $500 to each twin. End of the year, they both get W-2s for their work. They get 1099 divs for their stocks that they owned. We do their taxes. April 15th, they each owe $77 in federal income taxes. The next day, wife gives birth to 2 bouncing baby taxpayers, a few days premature. That's what I call living. Prospects a windfall for accountants, tax practitioners in the form of tax planning, tax preparation, and information return preparation. Also increases business for lawyers, wills for the fetus, of course, probate and estate work for miscarriages, a can of worms.
I don't know, it sounds to me like a can of afterbirth. St. Petersburg, you're on the air at 970 WFLA.
That's the problem right there, and one of our problems is somebody that wants to talk about freedom of life or death wants to base everything on money. Let's see if we can open a little... Am I on?
Yeah, for the moment.
You're right, it's been that way every time. Let's see if we can open... Well, can I open 2 cans of worms, one small and one maybe a little bit bigger?
I don't know, can you?
If you'll allow me to, I think I might be able to.
You should have said, may I?
Can I?
No, you should have said, may I?
What did I say?
You said, can.
Oh, may
can
I?
I open up a can of worms?
Oh, excuse me.
So in other words, you're asking me whether or not you can, not whether or not you may.
May I?
Certainly.
Okay, the first one is small. The guy who called about marketing Japanese products and American products.
No, sir. Now it comes down to, can you open up a can of worms?
No, I wanted. Well, to wait yeah, we'll open that one up just a little bit, is what I said. What we need to do is just like the Japanese do and buy American products instead of they buy Japanese products over there. We buy American products over here. Very simple.
Would solve the problem overnight, wouldn't it?
That's right. And maybe some of these intellectuals and the ones who have been all through 15 years of schooling and everything else, when they realize that, maybe something will happen. Okay, the other thing is about the abortion and the cocaine and the alcohol, and I mean real serious things here. Everybody's talking about what we need to do is be educated in these areas and educated. I venture to say that most people that are involved in those, maybe the ones who sell it are educated, but the ones who use it and are probably not that educated. But my can of worms is until we realize who we really are and where we come from and our relationship with God, whether it be your deity, and I agree with you that Gorbachev certainly doesn't believe in God, but until we realize and our neighbors share that with their neighbors and learn what it is and share it with these young people, who they really are, that they're really little children of God and the responsibility behind it all, that's when things will start changing a little bit. Not that we shouldn't do these other things, but our country is just leaving this out of our lives completely.
So if people get with God, then we'll have less drug problems.
Well, certainly.
You are, of course, aware of the fact that probably almost everybody that does drugs would tell you that they believe in God.
Well, I think one of our great writers said, what you do rings so loud in my ears, I can't hear what you say. So if they're really with God, they wouldn't be doing that, would they?
I don't know.
And they have to, well, that's what we have to learn.
A lot of people who are...
And our neighbors, see, Bob, like if you were with God, if you were with...
A lot of people who supposedly are with God are drug takers. Cigarettes, caffeine, alcohol.
Right. Well, that's exactly what I'm saying. I use a little bit of caffeine. I don't use alcohol, and I don't smoke cigarettes. I drink a Coke now and then, but I mean, if we're going to,
sugar,
another can of worms is you straining a gnat all the time when you start talking about the scriptures and the Bible. You straining a gnat and don't worry about the real. Get down to it and let's get serious here. Christianity hasn't failed, Bob. It hasn't been tried yet.
I know, sir. That's what I talk about all the time when I talk about religion. 3:51 the time. Don Richards standing by the WFLA News Desk. Don, when are you people going to start listening to me? If you had only sat down with a piece of paper like I told you to, drew the line down the center, put on one side of the page, real can of worms, the other side of the page, not real can of worms, you'd be enjoying the show ever so much more. Back to the phones we go. Let's see here. St. Petersburg. Hi there, St. Peter. You're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Hello?
Hi.
I've got my can opener, and out comes one of the occupants of the can of worms.
Uh-huh.
And I would like to ask you a question. What do you think of these people that are selling drugs to the young children? If the children would be, as part of their punishment for being caught, to tell where they got their drugs until they finally got to the top ones who got all the money, and then those that are selling the drugs be made to pay for all the damages that have happened along the line. Like this one mother not so long ago today said her daughter stole $4,000 from her, and
first of all,
that girl should be punished too for stealing.
Well, first of all, I'm really glad to get an opportunity to that somebody
use the can opener.
First of all, I'm glad that somebody finally asked me how where I stand on people who sell drugs to small children.
Oh, dear.
I am opposed to it.
Yeah.
I actually have always been opposed to it,
right.
And I'm really glad that you asked that. Now, secondly, I was wondering just what you had in mind in the way of punishment to force these young children to sell who's selling them drugs.
Here's my idea of punishment: to cause those children to be responsible to pay for the damage that was involved, on up until you get to the very top.
Well, no, you had said you were going to punish them until they told. How are you going to punish them?
Oh, you mean to
beat them with a stick,
their punishment?
Or,
no.
Attach electrical cords to their naughty parts. What?
Well, I would.
Bamboo under the fingernails.
Huh?
Bamboo under the fingernails? Or?
No. Perhaps you would say now you're going to be grounded and different things. Withdraw certain pleasures and anything at the table that they like, and just have them eat things that they've got to eat, spinach and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, if they would tell.
Well, let me
talk nice to them.
Let me see if I understand. You're going to take these little drug-taking monsters and make them eat spinach.
Well, that wouldn't hurt them. They'd get nice muscles, and besides, maybe their honesty would pop out, and they could actually tell who did it, and then also have to pay. The punishment would be to pay in work. They'd have to work and earn some allowance. What do you think?
These 9- and 10-year-olds would have to go to work. How about if we forbid them from watching Alf?
Whatever that they like.
Yeah, that would probably do it. Yeah.
And on up.
Most of the druggies I know actually stay straight on Monday night so that they can watch Alf. They don't even.
You are hilarious.
They don't even start doing the crack until after Alf.
I appreciate the laughter that you pull out of me. I like to laugh. It's good for us to laugh and forget some of the seriousness. But really,
yes, it is.
I wish that they could seriously think about penalizing these people that sell the drugs, the high ones that are bringing it in and making all this money, to pay for the damage they've done to the people on down, even to the children. All those people, so many have taken their lives. I remember meeting a fellow that he was 21 when I...
My goodness, if you haven't been with us, by the way, it's a Monday, March the 20th, 1989. Well, if you haven't been with us for the first hour, you don't know what you were missing. If you got some tape, roll it, because we decided last week to listen to the audience, and virtually every day people call up, and for example, like last week, virtually every day people call up and they try to tell us their life story. And last week we devoted an entire day. That was really great. Well, something else that happens almost every day is somebody will call up and say, "Hope you don't mind, but I want to open up a can of worms." And most of the time we mind very, very much. But nonetheless, today we decided to allow you to open up a can of worms. That's right. You heard me correctly. You can open up a can of worms. Anything that you think is important but no one else has ever bothered to mention, you can bring it right here to the radio station with your can opener. We'll go right back to the phones without any further delay whatsoever. I mean, that last one, to finish up the last hour, you know, we're on a roll here. West Shore. Hi, West. You're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Brother Bob.
Aha, Gino.
2 cans here.
Oh, my God, 2 cans of worms.
As Dean of the Tampa area radio talk show host, do you respect Lionel's talk show talents? And I want a follow-up.
Do I respect Lionel's talk show? You want an honest answer?
Yes.
Yes, I do. Lionel happens to be a natural. However, he doesn't seem to understand yet that it's anything other than a lark. And consequently, he's not working hard enough at times. He's borrowing from other people, borrowing other ideas that he's heard, even if he's not necessarily aware of it. And he's not working hard enough because it's still a lark for him.
I share your view. In fact, he's getting to become a cross between Chuck Harder and the Q-Zoo, you know, with all the legal opinions and, you know, playing all the various instruments.
Well, the other day I understand he told
the washboards and the...
Yeah, well, the other day I understand he told somebody to send a self-addressed stamped banana.
Well, and he's starting to charge $5 for those tapes he's making. You know, my girlfriend's got crabs or clabs or how to make paella, I don't know what. You know. Follow up, Bob. Should other callers and amateur talkophiles, such as real estate agents, cabana boys at Clearwater Beach, and commercial fishermen, be allowed full-time shows on WFLA and other J-Core stations? You being, of course, a representative, a senior representative of J-Core.
Well, no, I'm not a representative of J-Core. I am not. I'm hardly even an employee.
You hold an august senior position with this corporation.
Well, no, I don't. I actually don't even hold a position with the corporation. I simply do 3 hours on a Monday through Friday basis that neither the station nor sometimes I are all that thrilled with. And, you know, I do the best I can. They can't find anybody else to do it is what it really amounts to.
Well, the word I hear on the street is that you have sopped up so much of the budget that they have to resort to getting cabana boys, beach bums, lifeguards.
Ain't my fault if they don't have a realistic budget. You know, that's neither here nor there.
Okay, but what do you think of that? I mean, you know, sharing your time and, you know, the prestige of the station and the ratings.
Well, I don't know where you're supposed to get a talk show host from. You know, hopefully a talk show host is also a talk show listener. And hopefully he's listened in more than one market and has had the opportunity to hear a number of various different styles and a number of good people and then sat down and tried to figure out what it was that made them good. So just because somebody's been a talk show listener doesn't disqualify them. As a matter of fact, if they weren't a listener, that would disqualify them. Now, being a caller, I can't speak for. I've never been a caller. I don't know why you guys call. I sure as hell wouldn't. I mean, as much as I love talking on this end of the microphone,
by the way,
damn if I talk on the other end.
Whatever happened? Well, the reason I call is I'm here during assignment. Some people accuse me of losing all my business. We're going bankrupt. You know, kids don't have food. I spend all my time listening to the radio. So you do have a good point, you know. And I guess when I appear before Judge Pasquet, we'll have to discuss, you know, why do I listen to the radio all day and should be working. But anyway, whatever happened to that idea you had with the late, great Richard Norman on starting the Academy of Talk Show Hosts so that we can, you know, have more professionalism in the profession?
If I ever said that, it must have been someday that I had fermented tea or something, because I don't believe that you can teach anybody to do this.
I see.
And I mean that sincerely. It's one of those things in life that you can do or you can't do. You can take people who have the raw basic ability and hone it for them. You know, just like I don't believe you can teach anybody to be, a great artist. But you can take people that have the basic ability and refine it.
And thus, getting back to my original can, Lionel, and he has to work now. He can't rest his laurels, his Lionels. He has to start researching subjects. And remember David Fowler? He was great for not having a subject. You know, he'd come in and, you know, he'd wear those tattered cutoffs and the West by God, Virginia T-shirt. And,
no, sir, it was I that wore the cutoffs. Fowler
the flip-flops. Well, David appeared like that kind of guy, you know, a Margaritaville type of guy. He'd come in.
David had horrible legs. I have great legs. That's why I used to. As a matter of fact, I was just in a clothing store today, and I was thinking about, you know, I've got these people by the gazungas here. I'm going to start wearing shorts again.
Well, then people that have to share the chair after you would be... there were some comments made a couple of weeks ago about your shorts, and when you were at the Renaissance Festival, and somebody ended up with your. They won the leggings or whatever, and they spotted.
The queen-size pantyhose that I wore.
I see.
5X, I believe, is what it was.
But remember, David Fowler never had a subject. Remember, and that might have been his demise. And I hope that's not the case with Lionel, because I do think he's got some talent.
Well, that's not true. What you're saying is towards the end of David's local tenure, he refused to do subjects. But when I first came to this market, David did have topics and subjects that were frequently somewhat bizarre, marching bands or snakes, but it worked very, very well for David. I've tried, doing marching bands and got nowhere with it. Nowhere whatsoever. David was really a master of doing an entire 3 or 4 hour broadcast on the joys of local marching bands.
There you go. If my final question, because I know you're busy, if you had some good advice from our Kumba, Lionel, what would it be, Bob?
Stop listening to my show.
You're beautiful.
I'm serious. I know you're asking serious questions. I'm giving you a damn serious answer.
All right.
That's what my advice would be.
By the way, I meant it in all sincerity.
I do not listen, okay? I have stopped listening because the man pisses me off so much. Because every time I get in the car and I drive down the street, I'll hear something unbelievable. 3, 4, 5 days ago, was having a tough time with calls. Everybody has a tough time with calls. I hear the man saying, all right, I'm not even going to give you the phone numbers. This is word for word. Word for word. Stolen.
All right. Well, listen, my final comment is you and Webb have to do more shows together. You have some kind of a chemistry there. I don't know what it is, but it's like Caesar salad and filet. It just really mixes. You guys, that one day, that was great. I loved it.
Well, Webb is...
better than Gomez and Gomez. Ron and Ron.
Yes, Ron.
Fez and Fez.
It's Jeff and Jeff.
Jeff and Jeff. I'm sorry. I always make that mistake.
Jeez. I mean, I go through for months I try to set this up. It's Jeff and Jeff, sir.
Well, I better get back to work. Judge Pasquet is looking at my time schedule, and I've already allotted my 2 hours for listening to you and talking. So thank you, Robert, again.
Thank you, Gene.
Goodbye.
Be good. One line available for the opening of a can of worms. It is in the lovely, lovely county of Hillsborough, where the number is 990-9352. That is a 9, a 9, and a 0, followed by a 9, a 3, a 5, and a 2. That is the number where if you want to open up a can of worms, yes, ladies and gentlemen, you are actually being encouraged to open up a can of worms. Well, speaking of worms, Gary McHenry with a WFLA Airborne Traffic Report. Hey, how did it go to Fox's over the weekend, Garrow?
Hi, Bob.
Well, Gary, you sound a little down. Aren't you up in the air today? I smoked a few cigarettes over the weekend. I really and truly dreamt about it, and then I didn't know what to do. I was really bummed out because I didn't know how I was going to handle the Quit for Life commercials. Whether I was going to tell the truth and say I had stumbled, or whether or not I was going to fib about it. What to successfully becoming a non-smoker. Interested? 787-5530. The telephone number, 787-5530. Quit for Life. 2 1-hour sessions, a week apart, total cost $37.50. May I recommend to you that you get together with a group of 4 or 5 or 6 or 10 people? That's the easiest way to do it when you have some support. And I think that you will find if you ask around that most of your friends who smoke would only be too happy to quit smoking. 787-5530. 787-5530. Mulberry. Hi there, Mole. You're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Yeah, hi. Before I get to my possible can of worms, whose legs are better, yours or Michael Serio's?
I don't know. I've never seen Michael Serio's legs, and I think I'd like to keep it that way. I have to admit, madam, that I have great legs for a man, and especially a man who has a few pounds more than he ought to have. For some strange reason.
Great in size or great good?
Well, both. For some strange reason, my legs are very, very large, but they're proportioned.
Uh-huh.
Well, yeah, Michael, would you agree with that? Mike? Yo, Mike.
I think Michael is following the philosophy that discretion is the better part of valor.
What are you doing on the air, Richards?
I'm forming pals, people against Lassiter shorts.
Whoa.
What are your legs like?
Yeah, Richards, what are yours like?
Years ago...
Toothpicks.
Years ago, all is relative. They're nicely proportioned. Years ago, I was not a winner of an ugly legs contest at radio station WDRC in Hartford, Connecticut. That's back when I was in high school. So there's hope. A couple of scars since then, but hey.
Why don't you go back and, rip and read silently?
Don't do that.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you obviously have opened up a can of worms here.
Oh, no. That wasn't intentional.
I'm going to start wearing shorts anyway. I don't care.
Pardon?
I'm going to start wearing shorts anyway.
What the heck? I
mean, I just want to see one of these people in management come trembling over to me and say, Bob, this place is business, and
your Friday people will like that.
Wearing long pants or something.
You gonna wear them on Friday?
If you don't mind, Bob. I just can't wait. Yes, I will be wearing them on Friday.
Oh, sign me up.
Now you have to write and beg and plead like everybody else.
Pardon? Oh, okay. How long ago did you get your rolls?
My rolls last July.
And how long have you had that pain in your shoulder?
The pain in the shoulder about a week and a half now.
Oh, because I had one car, had a great air conditioner, but I had a pain in my shoulder and my arm for a couple of years, and when I got rid of the car, my arm got better. The air conditioner vent was just too cold. Couldn't be that?
Oh, no. Besides, I've got to tell the truth. You see, I got my Lincoln last October, and I do have a Lincoln, and I like it very much. It's a very fine car. There was somebody else in the market who it was said had a Rolls Royce, and he did for a while, but he got rid of the Rolls Royce last July, and recently apparently got a Lincoln.
Yeah.
And just to be kind of humorous, I said that I got rid of my Lincoln.
Oh, see, I heard you that day. I thought you were.
No, I was fibbing.
I was wondering, after all that love for that Lincoln, to just turn it over. Okay.
Right after all the shenanigans I went through, are you serious?
Yeah, I was wondering. I thought
you do have a can of worms that you wanted to open, right?
That was the worms.
That was the worms because
the rolls had to go. Yeah.
Because the other guy that was breaking in is standing by at the WFLA news desk.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Don Richards with a WFLA news brief. Thank you, Skinny Legs there. Tampa, you're on the air at 970 WFLA. What kind of worms do you bring to us?
Well, let's see. We can open up a can of worms in relation to your arthritis, or what you think is arthritis in your shoulder.
Uh-huh.
Dr. Christian Barnard, a couple years back, wrote an article that said that there was a lot of research done that the arthritis is caused by an anaerobic amoeba, and that it can be successfully treated with hydrogen peroxide, which is nothing more than water and oxygen.
Oh, no, I'm not going to do to my hair what that miserable Hulk Hogan did to his.
Well, I thought it was in your shoulder.
With a pain.
I thought it was in your shoulder.
Well, it is. Where else would you put the hydrogen peroxide?
In your mouth.
Oh, phooey. I was under the impression that wasn't a cool thing to do.
Oh, they're making good strides in that hydrogen peroxide treatment, Bob. You ought to be aware of that stuff.
Well, the pain's not that great. I mean, it's just enough to bitch about.
Yeah, right.
When somebody asks how you are.
You're not into masochism, is that it?
Well, I am into masochism. That's why I probably would not want to have anything done about it.
I see. You enjoy it.
Debilitating.
Yeah.
I mean, I have not really used the services of a physician for I couldn't tell you when, with the possible exception of the doctor to the stars, last August when I really hurt my back. And primarily that was a situation where I drank a lot of rum and Coke. He said, hey, if it's working for you, go for it.
Well, it'll knock you out.
Well, it helped me out. Helps considerably.
Little hydrogen peroxide, Bob.
That would work?
That'll work.
I'll stay away from it then.
Bye.
Thanks. One line available. It is in Hillsborough, 990-9352. St. Petersburg. St., you're on the air at 970 WFLA. Home of the worms.
Hello.
Hello.
I wanted to comment about the pain in your shoulders.
Uh-huh.
I think you should see an internist because my husband had that, and it was blood pressure and his heart. That's very serious shoulder pain.
Well, first of all, this is the right shoulder, and secondly, I literally had my blood pressure checked within the last Oh, 3 or 4 days. I can't remember why. What the hell did I do where they checked my blood pressure? That's really weird. But my blood pressure is normal.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is up from where it used to be. It used to be rather low.
Oh.
But it's now normal.
I just thought that maybe there was some connection there that sometimes...
No, this is definitely in the joint. No two ways about it, because I often sleep the wrong way or, do something to have some muscular pain in my shoulder, but this is definitely in the joint.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to add that.
Well, I thank you very much.
I do hope that you find out what's the matter with it and get doctoring for it.
Well, thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye now.
Who would have thought that the pain in my shoulder, which I've been talking about for over a week, would have become the topic of the program? 990-9352 in Hillsborough, 461-9352 in Pinellas. Off it is now to Clearwater. Hi, Clear. You're on the air.
Okay, why do you keep doing these Anything Fridays type of shows?
Because I enjoy them.
Oh, I thought you stopped reading, maybe. You don't do monologues anymore. It's not the Bob Lassiter show anymore. It's like
well, yes,
average...
it is the Bob Lassiter show, and it's not in the least bit average. Don't you dare insult me, or I'll start insulting you,
lady. It's the average caller show.
What in the hell would you know about an average caller show or about a talk show? If you're going to call me up and insult me, what the hell? I'll do it back to you.
Well, your program is going downhill.
Oh, my program is going downhill, is it?
It's not you. I mean, I love it when your monologues are great.
What do you mean it isn't me? Madam, I have not done monologues since I came to the station.
Well,
I did monologues at night a year and a half ago at WPLP.
Christmas you did a monologue.
Yes, ma'am. Christmas I did a monologue, but consistently doing monologues, I have not done them since I came to the station. No, but I mean
like a 30-minute starter, like a...
That's a monologue, ma'am, and I have not done them consistently since I came to the station. I have done perhaps, at best, 24 monologues since I came here a year and a half ago.
And you haven't yet noticed that you get better callers if you give a little monologue in the beginning?
Get better callers, ma'am? No, I'll tell you what I noticed when I gave monologues in the middle of the day at WFLA, and that is that I dealt primarily with morons because the...
Hardly, what you do. Oh, well, hey, that says a lot about you, if that is true.
I could have sworn I was in the middle of a sentence, because the so-called better callers didn't bother to respond in the daytime.
Well, is that the timing, then?
And it used to really piss me off to no end. It would make me very angry to sit here and go through a thought-provoking monologue and get people to call up and go, burp.
Well, I think having been exposed to the last month of this show...
I'll tell you something else I can't remember, ma'am.
Well, hey, look, I called you. I would like to say something.
I can't ever remember hearing your voice after a monologue. Well. Our very own worm, Gary McHenry, the world's most dangerous, I believe that was, right, Gary?
She sounded kind of cute, Bob. I wish you hadn't been so mean to her.
Gary, there's I've got somebody here that has something to say to you. Priscilla, go ahead.
You know, Gary, you didn't have to come home and feed me the other day. I fed myself. You know, you think you fool me, and I don't know what's going on, but I do. It's funny, you're laughing now, but you're laughing later on, buddy boy.
Priscilla sounds real cute. What's the problem here?
I don't... Bob?
Yeah?
I'd rather not talk about it on the air.
Priscilla, if you don't mind, I'll put you on hold, and you and I will talk about it after this break here. Go ahead,
Don't talk to Bob, Pris. Don't talk to Bob. Did I leave my cattail over there? Traffic on the Howard Front.
I don't know about you, but I've been keeping score on my sheet, and I think that possibly for the first time this day, we really do have a can of worms here. Priscilla, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Priscilla, what's going on here between you and the world's most dangerous traffic reporter?
Well, you know, he thinks he's smart and he thinks he's fooling everybody. But I'm tell you something, he's not that smart. He thinks he has all the girls after him.
Yeah.
It's just not that way.
Well, it's funny because every time I see McHenry in a social situation, he always goes home by himself.
Well, he better.
And it doesn't seem to be for, it doesn't seem to be for trying.
I mean, I'm not into any of that kinky stuff, you know?
Uh-huh.
He better come home by himself.
You mean there's something going on between you and McHenry?
I forgot I wasn't supposed to talk about that on the radio.
Well, no, that's okay. It's just you and me. Priscilla, just think of it as you and me.
Is Gary anywhere listening?
No, he's up there in the airplane. Yeah, I believe they're up flying over the beaches up around the nudist resorts like they normally do on Mondays.
Well, let me put it this way: when you speak about worms,
yeah.
When I'm with Gary, that's what I think about a lot.
Oh, you're kidding?
No,
really?
No, I'm not kidding. It's not funny.
Well, you know, how is Gary in the she's a family program in the middle of the day? How are Gary's skills?
Well, it's not much you can do with the worms. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess I do.
We get by.
Yeah.
We do okay, except for when closing names like a dog. I don't like that at all.
Oh, no.
That's pretty mean.
Well, this sounds like quite a can of worms, Priscilla. Perhaps other women who have had intimate relationships with the world's most dangerous traffic reporter will call up for the remainder of the program, and we can see exactly what the real story is here.
Well, I sure would like to hear from some more.
Yes, we all would, Priscilla. I thank you very much.
Well, thank you, and tell that dog up there in the air that maybe he should go somewhere else today after work.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Okay, bye.
Take care. Oh, this is a can of worms if ever there was one. 990-9352 in Hillsborough, 461-9352 in Pinellas, Sarasota. Hi there, Sarah. You're on the air at 970 WFLA.
You asked for other girls to call in about Gary's relationships, but I would love to give you a few comments. I'm just an average caller. And it's not arthritis. It could possibly be bursitis.
Yes, I suppose it could be.
Okay. You referred to
3 calls this hour on my shoulder.
I see. You called or talked to somebody from Sarasota before and said, well, Sarasota must be worm pate.
Yes, worm pate.
This is going to be worm pate on a silver tray.
Whoa. So you're going to take the lid off the silver tray, so to speak?
Come out of the closet, yes.
Okay.
One statement. Can I be graphic?
But to a degree.
Tasty cakes are the pits. I tried one for the first time because you say how great they were.
First of all, what kind of tasty cake did you have?
Chocolate.
The chocolate cupcakes.
Cupcakes.
Were they fresh?
I don't know. I bought them in a Winn-Dixie.
Well, you know, if they turned to crumbs as you were trying to eat them, then they were not fresh. If they sort of were moist and melted in your mouth, then they were fresh.
Kind of tasted like something that fell out of an ox's nose.
Well, then they weren't fresh.
Oh.
I mean, come on. I don't care how good the baked good is. If it becomes stale, it is not palatable.
Well, if they're baked in, Philadelphia?
Yes.
How can they be fresh by the time they get here?
Well, they get them down here in a real hurry. They're actually, I believe, I've been told anyway, that they are sent down frozen and then thawed. And while they are, of course, not as fresh as they would be in Philadelphia, where they come directly from the bakery, they're still quite acceptable for a day or two.
Oh,
but tasty cakes were not meant to sit on the shelf for 4 or 5 days.
Frozen and thawed.
It's better than nothing.
Not really.
And they're far, far superior to Twinkies or Hostess, whatever they might be.
Anyone that gets their butt kicked by the great moolah can't be too really on the ball about tasty cakes.
I did not get my butt kicked by that old hag.
What did she do? Just accidentally happen to fall on top of you or something?
I hurt my back the following day after the wrestling match.
Oh, I noticed that they haven't shown that on the great wrestling programs.
I noticed it too, and I'm kind of glad that they haven't, to tell you the truth. I don't know that I'd really want to have to relive that painful moment where, not painfully physically, painfully where that miserable Olga distracted referee Webb's attention and my attention, permitting, apparently, so I'm told by people who witnessed the match, some type of finale that wasn't really within the realm of the rules.
Could this be the great can of worm cover-up? It's just coincidental that we haven't seen it on the television.
I have nothing whatsoever to do with it. However, sir, I would suggest that a man who besmirched the good name of Tasty Cakes based upon one itsy-bitsy little experiment with them. I mean, Tasty Cakes, as you well know, sir, are talked about by all people who come from Philadelphia. Movie stars have them have them shipped out to Los Angeles, to Hollywood, movie stars, of course, from the Philadelphia area.
Yeah, both of them?
This is well... There are quite a number, sir. I was referring to people like Frankie Avalon, Fabian, Bobby Rydell, Joey Bishop, all the biggies.
Robert Companzi. Okay. No problem.
Sir, I have no further desire to continue this conversation with a man who doesn't know anything at all about tasty cakes and a man who thinks that for some reason I'm trying to cover up what happened that fateful night of August 29th, 1988. Good day to you, sir. Don Richards standing by with the WFLA News Brief. Don, to open up there if you would.
I want to talk about Margot Adams. I want to know why
Adams, okay.
Who?
I thought you said Margot Adams.
That's what I said.
Then okay.
I want to know why everybody is calling her a slut and a sleaze.
Well, probably
making it seem like she's the bad girl.
Well, probably because she is a slut and a sleaze. What I don't understand is why people aren't also calling the other individual involved in this a slut and a sleaze, because he obviously is as well.
That's what I want to know. Everybody's trying to make it seem like Wade is he's the innocent guy, that he's just the innocent victim of this slut.
Well, that's basically only Ted Webb and the macho guys that listen to his show. I think most people are quite opposed to. I would think.
But you know what
men going out and.
But you know what I want to say? I don't think she's such a sleaze or a slut. I mean, he ought to kept his word.
I beg your pardon, madam. She is a woman who went out with what she knew to be a married man.
So he knew he was married too.
I'm quite aware of that, ma'am. So my contention is that they are both at fault, equally at fault.
Well, he is more than her because she didn't make any commitments to his wife.
I beg your pardon. I don't think there is anyone who is more at fault in this case. It is an equal fault. What both individuals did was to thumb their noses at the backbone of the society, the marriage contract.
Well, that's true. But everybody's trying to make it seem like it's Margot's fault. It's Margot's fault. But it's not all Margot's fault.
Well, I don't know, ma'am, that everybody's trying to make it seem that way. I think that most people would concur
all on the news, all on the talk shows, everything. Margot's a sleaze. Margot's a sleaze.
I don't... Margot is a sleaze, ma'am, but I don't believe that it's all...
she might have been a sleaze, but she didn't tie Wade's hands.
God, I'm losing control. I don't believe that it is all of the news media and all of the talk shows, ma'am, who are singling out... Geraldo is not all of, and Geraldo is not news either. But I believe even on the Geraldo show, if memory serves me, the woman was depicted as a sleaze and a slut, as was the man in the case.
But what I'm saying is, I read in the paper that his wife, she was saying that Margot's destroying her family and everything. But it's Wade. He's the one made the vows to her. He's the one made the commitment to her.
Well, Mrs. Boggs, of course, this is America. She's allowed to be stupid. That's one of the privileges of living in America, is that you're allowed to be as stupid as you want to be and to stick with, a goon and a jerk who has no respect for the marriage vows, even though he does earn something in excess of $2 million a year. It may or may not have something to do with Mrs. Boggs and her great ability to forgive and forget.
Well, I believe it ought to teach the other guys a lesson, that they ought to think about the consequences that they're going to have to suffer when they decide to go and want to sleep with every woman that smiles at them. And I don't think Margot's
well,
that
ma'am,
bad.
most of us do not earn $2 million a year and consistently win batting crowns in the American League. So
but
consequently, most of us who have flings, extramarital flings, do not get on the Geraldo show.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Most of us don't even get on the Lassiter show who have extramarital flings.
Everyone wants to make a big deal about it because he's Wade Boggs. But Wade Boggs did wrong, so he has to suffer the consequences.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what I wanted to say. And I listen to your show every other day because you make me mad sometimes. But I do enjoy it, and I want to say hey to Mike because he's listening.
Thank you very much.
You. Bye-bye.
Take care. One more hour. One more hour yet to go on this Open Up a Can of Worms day. Thank you ever so much. Heard anybody hiss, hasn't it? 990-9352 in Hillsborough. I really think we should bring back the hiss. The boo just sometimes does not does not really convey the message, but a good old-fashioned hiss. There's probably an entire generation of Americans who have never heard anybody hiss before. Well, you have now. Bradenton, hi, Braid. You're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Hi, Bob.
Hi.
Technically, Mother Jones Magazine opened this can of worms a few months ago, but I'd like to bait a hook and fish with it, maybe. They did a piece on these night vision goggles.
Uh-huh.
And these goggles...
Oh, God, you've just reminded me of something. After you tell your story, I've got to tell mine. Go ahead.
Okay. These night vision goggles were manufactured and still, according to the manufacturer, should only be used for driving Jeeps. But every branch of the air military, except the Navy, God bless the Navy, is forcing their pilots in these helicopters on night training missions to use these goggles.
Mm-hmm.
You know how many of these training missions in these helicopters have crashed, not to mention the ones in planes. I'd like to know why it is that when you read an article about the crash, it always ends with there's no clue to the cause of the crash, the investigation is going to take months, but they can be sure that it was not the night vision goggles that caused the crash. Now, some of these crashes have survivors, and I'd just like to know why there is never any follow-up story to explain what the cause of these military crashes are and how they can be so certain it's not the night vision goggles if they haven't started an investigation.
Well, how about it, members of the Pentagon who may be listening to this program? This woman has asked a legitimate question.
Maybe somebody out at MacDill could tell me something.
Maybe they could, and you have been challenged.
Okay, and one other thing. This is one I'm opening myself. That's probably just a paranoid conspiracy theory of mine. But do you suppose that the management at NASA, since they have to get this military space junk sent pretty soon, do you think we might see a pattern of over-optimism, like the Discovery is back now and they're saying it looks better than ever, just a few pings and dents and it's ready to go again? Do you think that the same kind of pressure from the Pentagon to get this Star Wars stuff out into space might end up breaking down the integrity of NASA again?
Well, to the best of my knowledge, it's not the space shuttle that would be deploying the Star Wars stuff.
Oh, I just thought maybe they were trying to slip some Star Wars stuff up, saying it's a military satellite.
Ma'am, there is no Star Wars stuff that exists.
Well, that's true. That's true.
Only in the hearts and minds of those with large blocks of stock in companies such as
yes.
McDonnell Douglas.
And the Heritage Foundation guys.
Right.
And,
who have large
people.
blocks of stock.
Oh, and I have one other request. Suppose you could begin banning callers who say more than 15 times in a single call.
Well, unfortunately, they're already up to the 15 by the time we would know who they were.
Oh, okay.
So it would really be very ineffective. Would still be there.
Okay, well, I would appreciate hearing from somebody at MacDill maybe who has had to use these goggles.
Okay.
Okay, thanks a lot, Bob.
All right, thank you ever so much. There's a can of worms for you. Hey, that's right. One line available in Hillsborough, 990-9352. Oh, I can help you. Hello.
Hello.
Can I help you?
Yeah, my name is Pete Smith. I'm from Tarpon Springs. I have a question for you with regard to your programming at this moment. I'm wondering why you let this asshole interrupt the damn traffic reports all the time. I'm listening for the traffic reports, and this jerk has to come on and upset. You can't hear the reports.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I basically agree with you. The problem is, the guy is, you call him, an asshole.
Yeah.
Well, he's more than that. He's mean.
He's what?
He's mean. Every time we try to talk to him, he just goes berserk. Last week he let the air out of the tires in the general manager's car.
Well, you are unbelievable. I'll bet that guy would actually take candy away from children. I hate to even say that. I hate to say that.
Last week I was in here with my niece, And
you don't have a niece, do you?
Yes, I do, and he took the candy away from her.
I bet he would. I bet he would just take her Raggedy Ann doll right away from her.
No, she didn't bring the Raggedy Ann doll. He got that the last time she was in here.
But Mr. Lassiter, I really wish you wouldn't interrupt the traffic reports, though, because I'm trying to hear them. I have to travel Route 19. It's a pain in the ass when you do it.
Wait a second. Wait, you're calling from Tarpon Springs. Yeah. You travel US 19.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'll tell you what. It's clogged up. It will be until about 7:30 tonight. That's what happens every miserable day on US 19.
I am well aware of it.
I mean, are you waiting for some kind of a miracle for McHenry to say, "Oh, miracle of miracles, US 19 is not clogged up anymore"?
No, if I have to go to Tampa, I'd like to know whether or not there's any problems.
There's no need to go to Tampa.
I do need to go to Tampa. I do need to go to Tampa.
That you cannot find in Tarpon Springs.
I want to see the little kids playing in the schoolyard. I have to go to Tampa.
There aren't any little kids playing in the schoolyard.
There are some kids playing in the schoolyard, and I want to go see them. And I don't know why you should stop me from doing that. I don't think that's fair, and I don't think that's right, and I don't think anybody in a radio station should be allowed to have that.
Well, anybody that lives and works in the Tarpon Springs area should spend his money in the Tarpon Springs area.
I don't have any money.
Where you belong.
I don't have any money. How could I spend money when I don't have any? You don't make money in Tarpon Springs. You make money in Tampa.
Well, isn't this sponge diving season?
Sponges, yeah, sure, if you want to dive for sponges.
Well, what would you rather do? Go out there in the nice, cool Gulf and dive for sponges?
No.
Or work in some rat-infested building in downtown Tampa?
Yes, sir. I would much prefer it. I would much prefer to be in a big rat-infested building where I could look out over the windows and feel power because I had the height of the building working for me.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking out the window here. I sure feel power. I'm looking over at a parking lot where they charge you $5 for 2 hours to park.
You're kidding me.
No, I'm not kidding you.
They're fascist pigs.
Well,
they're
fascist pigs. They may or may not be, but that's the price.
That's disgusting. They should take the people that own that parking lot and make them live in that parking lot for 1 month.
Gary McHenry owns the parking lot.
Make him live in the parking lot for 1 month. But let him go up in his plane and tell me what kind of traffic problems.
Now that you know that Gary McHenry owns the parking lot, I'm sure that you don't mind my giving him a hard time.
God bless you.
Thank you. Tampa, you're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Good afternoon, Bob.
Afternoon, sir.
How are you doing today?
Fine.
My can of worms is your afternoon slot there. When are you going to get somebody in there permanently? You've got this bozo right-wing lunatic Sam in there. You got Captain
2 weeks
Mel.
From today.
Huh?
2 weeks from today.
Oh, who do we have someone set for sure?
I don't know that I can officially tell you, but I promise you it's 2 weeks from today.
Is it the black guy was on a few weeks ago? Really liked him.
No, it is not.
It is not?
No.
Well, too bad.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I think that you'll like whoever it is. I would tell you, except I don't know that I can officially do so.
Why not?
Because I'm not sure the ink is dry on the paper.
Hey, live dangerously.
Well, in that case, I'll spell it out for you, okay?
Okay.
It's B-O...